Overall, this was a very quiet year for the Berserk manga. We received 3 chapters in total, and seem to be returning to the kind of release schedule that we had before Miura's passing. Back in 2022, it was a huge transitional year for Berserk, both on and off the page. We had a total of 7 chapters come out that year, now being helmed by Koji Mori and the Studio Gaga staff, alongside the significant events within the story itself, including the destruction of Elfhelm, our first confrontation between Guts and Griffith in over a decade, and Casca being taken back to Falconia. In 2023, we received 4 chapters in total, so a significant step down in the quantity, but also I consider to be a high step up in the quality when it comes to the artwork and capturing Miura's style as closely as possible. It's never going to be perfect. And now in 2024, we received only 3 chapters, but the story is still moving forward significantly, even if it doesn't seem like it at times. Back in April, we got chapter 376, and we catch up with our main party now taken into the hidden Kushan village, seeing our boys Salat, Rickert, Daiba, and the others. Essentially, they are here gathering what's available of their forces and planning to go to war with the Hawk of Light, aka Griffith. And important to note that the Kushans are the ones that are in charge here. Even though Serpico, Isidro, my main man Roderick, and the rest of the group, they're not restrained or imprisoned, but it's basically being implied that they are going to be part of this upcoming battle with or without their consent. Specifically to go under the guidance of Daiba, who seems incredibly interested in having our group work for him. Some small moments in the chapter that I thought were nice is when Rickert and Puck finally interact once again, although Puck acts as if he doesn't know Rickert, but I took that as he's being a bit shady with Rickert for working with the Kushan here, although I'm not sure if Puck might actually be that forgetful. As well, we have Rickert realizing that Casca, who left with Guts and Puck at one point, is currently not with the rest of the group, leaving him fearing the worst of what could have happened to her. The biggest things here that are happening is with Guts and Cherokee, though. Guts has been broken and lost within himself for some time, losing Casca once again, and we see him and Cherokee within the astral realm, as he has become lost many times before, such as when the Berserker armor takes him over. This is definitely the most broken we have ever seen Guts be, especially post-Eclipse, and so it took some time for Cherokee to find him. In this chapter, it seems that Cherokee is able to restore him to consciousness. He's just currently locked up in a cell at the moment, but Cherokee herself does not return to her own body, leaving me fearing if she herself is now becoming lost, because the further that you go into the astral realms, the harder it is to return, and the harder it is to maintain your sense of self, and we have not had an update on Cherokee since this moment. After that, we did not receive another chapter until 6 months later at the end of October. In chapter 377, we get to see more aspects of the Kushan village and the different ways that they live and different animals that are here that our main group isn't that used to. There's a lot of focus on Rickert here and his fears of the upcoming battle, believing that the Kushan soldiers are massively unprepared for what's about to come, and I definitely agree with him. But I do love the artistic choice of having the sunlight hit him just as he starts thinking about Guts, kind of like a beacon of potential or hope. And I would also love if this leads to Rickert going to see Guts, because I desperately want a true reunion between these two characters, or at least a conversation. Even though they have been in the same location, Guts was completely passed out and he has not had a chance to see or interact with Rickert. Now that Guts is conscious in his cell, it's more likely to happen. Meanwhile, in this chapter, we got the Kurultai, which is what this chapter is named after. Essentially, it's a big meeting for those that are in charge, including the new Kushan Emperor, in order to discuss their plan of action and what it's going to be. There's a small moment with Roderick that I appreciate where he's heading to the meeting and he feels this sense of discomfort with all the Kushan staring daggers into him. It makes sense, as they were probably at odds many times in the past, and as far as the hierarchy of humankind is concerned, Roderick is kind of our highest authority here. He's the nobleman, he's a ship captain, so all of them specifically looking at him was a nice touch. Salat requests command from the new emperor of the army, having honestly the most amount of information on everything that's happening. Salat has always been around as an observer type character, seeing every transitional moment of the world and of Griffith's rise to power, so it's nice to see him get the spotlight and actually request some authority of his own. But it's not too long before they're able to draw out a disturbance, as a longtime enemy, Rakshas, was hiding amongst them, or seemingly so at least, as he burst out of the shadows of somebody else that was on the council. He was last shown being blown up by Rickert's rocket launcher when Ricker and Salat escaped Falconia, but now he is recovered and ready for round 2. But then finally, in chapter 378, the most interesting thing here is that Rakshas himself seems extremely confused about what's going on and where he is. And the last thing that he remembers is specifically being blown up by that weapon. I am completely unsure as to what this means or what the chapter is meant to imply. How did Rakshas manifest without choosing to be here, and could it have something to do with the rest of what happens in this chapter? As of right now, it's only up to speculation. Even Rakshas himself doesn't have much time to think about it because everybody rushes in to attack him, so he just goes straight into battle. Outside of the castle, a strange black cloud appears over top of them, alongside a rippling bit of power that can be heavily sensed by our magic users. And soon, spawning from black goo that is seeping up from the ground, we get a different variation of the trolls appearing all over the village. My personal headcanon here is that this is how the Kushin imagine trolls. Since all astral creatures are spawned from humanity's fears, it would be interesting to me that their physiology would be different depending on what culture they come from. But again, that's just a headcanon. It's nice to see some of the characters go into action, like Fernie sensing the energy and heading out to help, as well as Serpico briefly using his wind sword to take out some trolls, because we haven't seen Serpico in action for a very long time. The wildest thing about this chapter, though, is that Farnese believes that they are experiencing another piece of the Qliphoth dimension, a place that they know very well, an area of the astral world in which we last saw a God Hand member, Slan, manifest a physical form out of troll guts, as well as spawn whatever horrifying creatures she wanted out of this dimension. But, most importantly, Qliphoth is the homeland of the almighty Schnoz. And if this is true, and if we are about to experience a piece of Qliphoth once again, that means, without joking at all, this is canonically the most likely chance we will have to actually see Schnoz again. And I hope that they do it. And even Daiba, who is another magic user, seems to think that whatever is happening is too powerful for an apostle to do, and it has to be something greater. So, are they implying that a God Hand is coming? So far, we've seen Slan basically be the representative of this dimension, but we also know that Griffith is likely on his way with his own army, so could it be possible that any God Hand could pull from the Qliphoth dimension if they wanted to? I don't know. And this happening at the same time that Rakshas appears and is confused on why he's here, I don't want the series to start a precedence that an apostle could possibly be resurrected or anything like that. That seems like too much of a reach to me, but there's obviously a connection of him appearing at the same time that all of this is starting, and this is something we'll probably explore moving forward next year when we get more chapters. This chapter ends with Rakshas and Salat starting to go head-to-head, as well as some images of Guts still locked up, seemingly exhausted, but definitely still conscious. I'm really not sure where the story is going to go from here, or how quickly they plan to wrap things up, but at the current rate of releases, odds are we still have quite some time to go. We don't know exactly who or what is going to appear, or with this Qliphoth revelation, what could possibly come of it, or how Guts will free himself from the dungeon. We also have Casca back in Falconia being kept in a dreamlike state, in which we have not had any updates on Casca for this entire year. I wouldn't be surprised if we did have a major battle happen here at the Kushan village, and then whatever final survivors we have from that making their way to Falconia. Or we could also have two parallel stories begin, both happening here and in Falconia at the same time, with the two stories eventually meeting up and converging. There's still a wide variety of things that could happen here, and I'm open to all of them to be explored when this series continues. But you know what I really would love to see? Imagine if Chich was the one to show up in Guts' cell, paralleling the flashbacks that we got from before. Remember, with the information that we got from the spirit trees and Elfhelm, Chich didn't necessarily die. She just used up her entire tether to the physical world, her plant, in order to heal Guts. I know it's just a cope pipe dream, but if there was ever an opportunity for Chich to return and parallel that moment and get Guts back to his senses, I think this would be the best possible moment. That's right, I want to see Chich and I want to see Schnoz, and I think both of them are actually more likely now than they ever have been before. And it's even likely that we get some slan action, so who knows. But we will just have to wait and see, because that's all we got this year. But if you are in the US like me, we are getting Berserk Volume 42 released on March 18th of next year. It'll contain chapters 365 through 373, and it will technically be the first volume consisting entirely of material that came out after Miura's passing. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this little recap video, and thanks for watching the individual reviews when I put them out. Thanks for watching those, thanks for watching the monster manuals, and anything else that I put out on the topic. I appreciate your support as always, and Berserk is still absolutely my favorite story of all time, and I can't wait for it to come back. I hope you guys had a good year of 2024, but I really hope that 2025 is better for all of us. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Leave the video a like and a comment to help it out in the algorithm, and if you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon, channel memberships, and all the social media links where you can follow me down below. And consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because I talk about a variety of topics and you might find something you enjoy. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.